And we are now live.
Thank you, Dorothy. Good evening, folks. Welcome to our African Descent Advisory Committee meeting. Today is September the 11th, 2025. I hope you are well, enjoying the first couple days of fall and missing winter dearly, I'm sure. Not winter, summer. Um, as we approach this season, of course, a lot of folks are quite busy. We've got back to school and everything that's happening. It's quite a busy season in general. So I appreciate your time and your energy and your continued commitment to coming to this meeting. Since we do have quorum, I'll begin with our land acknowledgement. The Halifax Regional Municipality is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. The municipality acknowledges the peace and friendship treaties signed in this territory and recognizes that we are all treaty people. So I'll start with a roll call of our members. Is Councillor Virginia Hinch here? I don't see them. Dorothy, if you could just answer, that would help as well.
No, they're not here yet.
Okay. Amber Brown?
Good evening, folks.
Hey, Amber.
Sorry for the feedback. My camera's not working this evening, but pleasure to be here.
Glad to have you. J. Reese Wiley?
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, J. Reese. Jerry Taylor?
Jerry is in the meeting. He might just be having mic troubles.
Okay, can you hear me now? Good
Yeah,
evening,
Yeah, we
everybody.
can hear you.
All
Loud and
right,
clear.
hello.
Is Howard Brown here today?
Howard is not here as yet.
Okay. I think Taylor is here.
I am here.
Hey, Taylor. So we have regrets from Renee, of course, and Carlotta for tonight. I'd like to invite Anzio staff to please recite the affirmation.
Good evening, folks. So we acknowledge that African teachings, strength, and perseverance continue to challenge and inspire our community. If we stand tall, it is because we stand on the shoulders of our many ancestors. Thank you.
Thank you, Russell. Item number 2 is approval of minutes from the August 14th, 2025 meeting. So this is the part for, our newer folks where we will bring the agenda forward. And if you have any errors or omissions from the minutes of the previous meeting, please do let us know. So do members have any errors or omissions to the minutes of the August 14th meeting? I'll give you a moment here. If there are any errors or omissions from that meeting minutes. If there are none, can I please get a mover and a seconder to approve the minutes?
I can move it.
Thank you, Jerry's. Moved by Jerry's. Can I get a seconder, please?
I can second it.
Thank you, Councillor Hinch. Seconded by Councillor Hinch. The minutes of August 14th, 2025 be approved as circulated. All those in favor say aye, and those opposed say nay, please.
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Thank you, folks. I declare the motion is carried. We'll now move to the approval of the order of business and approval of additions and deletions. Dorothy, do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No additions or deletions have been received by the clerk's office.
Thank you. Do members have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, can I have a mover and a seconder to approve the order of business as presented?
I move.
Moved by Jerry. Can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second.
Seconded by Taylor. Thank you. The agenda has been approved as presented. I declare the motion carried. For business arising out of minutes, there are no business items arising from the minutes. Now I'll move on to the call for declaration of conflict of interest. Does any committee member want to declare conflict of interest as a result of an agenda item? Any conflict of interest? Hearing none, I'll move on to the next agenda item, which is consideration of deferred business. There's nothing here to consider. Then item number 7 is correspondence. Dorothy, has there been any correspondence received by the clerk's office?
No correspondence has been received by the clerk's office, Chair.
Thank you, Dorothy. Have there been any petitions received by the clerk's office?
No petitions either have been received by the clerk's office.
Thank you, Dorothy. To members of the committee, do you have any petitions you'd like to share? Hearing none, I'll move on to the next item, which is item 7.3.1, our presentation from Tamar Brown, which is an update on the African Nova Scotian Road to Economic Prosperity. I'll give you a minute here, Dorothy, to let folks in.
I think they're good to go.
Okay. Do we have just Tamar?
Oh, we have Carol Ann as well.
Fantastic. I'll make sure everyone is good with mics. Are you together or you're separate?
There she is.
I can't see everyone on screen, right? Oh, there she is. Okay,
Hello.
wonderful.
Can you hear me?
Very well.
Okay.
So, folks, we have Tamar Brown here and Caroline Wright, who will be speaking on an update on the African Nova Scotian Road to Economic Prosperity. We welcome you to our space. We thank you for coming here, and we are always, always, always happy to support the work. And we continue to offer our support in any capacity as best we can. We want you to feel comfortable sharing your update with us today. And hopefully we'll have some really engaging and tough questions for you folks to keep you dedicated and working hard. So at this point, I'll hand it over to you folks. Please do introduce yourselves. I may know you very well, but others may not. We'd love to hear more about the great work that you're both doing. I know you're doing great work, so please don't be too humble.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. May I just say something first, Carol Ann? We have a colleague that's not been entered into the room. Chelsea Skeet, if someone could enter her in.
Dorothy, please could you?
Okay. Can Chelsea accept to rejoin as a panelist? Because I think she declined earlier.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe. There we go. I think she's good now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you folks.
okay. I think, good evening, folks. My name is Carol Ann Wright. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives and Capacity Building with the Halifax Partnership, and also the Executive Director of the Road to Economic Prosperity. My colleagues, Tamar Brown and Chelsea Skeet, will be joining me with this presentation. We will give you an update of where we are to date, and just to go back a bit in terms of since we have presented last. So I don't know if the presentation is going to come up online. I'm not sure how we're doing this because I know Tamar had sent the presentation over. So I'll just follow the presentation if that's okay.
Yep, I'm just getting that ready. Give me a
Okay,
second.
great. Hello to the folks that I know, and glad
Hi,
to see
Carol Ann.
you. Hey, Counselor Hinch, good to see you.
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Hi, Tamar.
Hi, Counselor.
Counselor Young, good to see you as well.
While we're waiting for the
Nice to see
presentation,
you
I'll
guys.
just introduce myself to folks that may not know who I am. My name is Tamar Pryor Brown. I'm the Director of Operations for the Road to Economic Prosperity, and I'm here with another colleague as well, Chelsea Skeet. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name's Chelsea, and I'm the Community Engagement and Events Specialist with Road to Economic Prosperity.
And we're missing Cora Rogers, who is our new Workforce Attachment Specialist. And that is the new team or the transition team. So, and we'll talk a bit more about that as we go through the presentation. So thank you for the opportunity. So this is a brief presentation. We have several iterations of our presentation, but we're going to do this. And before I get into this, I want to thank you. Since the last time we presented, I think you sent a letter of support for community benefits agreements, and we thank you for that. It still has not been approved by the province, but it's still something that it's one of our major issues that needs to be approved. And so the community is going to move that forward and continue to talk to the province about how we can have that implemented. So I'm going to go to the first slide. The next slide, sorry. So as you well know, that RepBegain is a community-led 5-year initiative that took a collaborative approach based on community consultations. And we are mainly within HRM, but we've taken a provincial focus as well with the work. As we move this work forward, we realize some of the similar issues within the province, but our main focus in the first 5 years and the first couple of years were HRM. So it's bringing critical community issues to the attention of players in change. The main thing that we were responsible for was making sure that every community was engaged in strategic planning and facilitation, making sure that folks prioritized and got their work into a staff report. The work started with Beachville, as you well know, and continued throughout the rest of the communities. Next slide, please. So our pillars, for those of you who aren't familiar, we had started with 3 pillars within our first 5 years: building unity and capacity, ANS communities, establishing land ownership and attract investment, and increasing participation. Now, since we've been doing this work, we realized that policy reform had shown up in all those pillars. And so as we move forward and transition to the new entity, we created another pillar, and that was policy reform. Next slide, please. So with our work and approach, facilitation brings community together and gets organized. Planning grounds the work and helps bring the vision to fruition. And we continue to assist and support communities on this work. Next slide, please. Ms. Chelsea, Chelsea's responsible for our events. So I'm going to ask her to do this slide.
So events, how we share and highlight the work, how we inform and gather community. It's a tool for communication, congregating, and conversation. Small, medium, and large-scale events centered around rep work and its progression. ANS-led events that turn the focus on fulfillment of our work and now our 4 pillars. So in short, I make sure that our community's voices are heard, valued, and connected, and that way we can achieve prosperity and growth together, and make sure that we truly reflect that our shared history and future is also built together.
Excellent. So we are governed by 3 councils with this work. And so our work is community directed. We have our advisory council, which is our largest council, and our youth council and our elder council. And I think we have to date, I think it's 30 folks, in total. Some of the work that we've been able to do is collaboration. We have our workforce specialist, as we said, is not on tonight, but she's done an incredible work in creating a workforce attachment framework. We've been able to do that this year. We had last year promoted our wellness index, which was really important to make sure that we had some grounding in terms of the work that we're doing and support to move the activities forward. So keeping the community at the center of this work is really important. Next slide, please. The communities who are currently engaged with REP, we've listed here. Africville Genealogy Society, Beachville Community, East Preston, Lucasville, Truro, Upper Hammonds Plains Development Association, who we know is their leadership has moved beyond the initial strategic planning. They have done some incredible things. All our communities are moving forward in this fashion, along with Beachville. Next slide, please. And that's the end. So we wanted to talk about our transition, and I think we sent along our 2024 report as well. This is our 5th year, and as you know, in the 5th year of the plan, our responsibility was to create an entity to move from years 6 to 11. So I'm going to ask Tamar, who's come on for a year with us and has been incredible in terms of helping us move the work forward. So I'm going to ask Tamar to talk about the 6 to 11 year plan and Sustainability Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Carol-Ann. Yeah, I think Carol-Ann already mentioned that we added a 4th pillar, which is policy reform. Through the beginning of this plan and up until now, there has been a lot of policy and legislative changes as we went along, but we sort of never separated them and highlighted them and made that its own, pillar. So we've done that now for the next 5 years. It's just something that happens naturally and organically in our work, but right now we've decided to formally add that into our 6 to 11. So we are in an extreme pivotal moment and an evolution in our organization, and it's community driven, but we're transitioning to an independent collaborative entity, right? So that move is just going to kind of reaffirm our community's vision of self-determination and long-term sustainability. And I think that earlier there was some information forwarded as well with regards to a document which is going to support how we actually got to this point, which I'm going to continually try to explain to you as I go along. So for the first 5 years, we were sort of incubated with the Halifax Partnership. They played like a crucial role with helping us, get the first 5 years off the ground. They helped with resource management and operational support, that kind of thing, and allowed us and community to grow and develop this plan. And it really helped because they were an established organization and it helped us grow our vision and our plan. So with the end of our first 5 years coming, we've embarked on a journey to stand as an independent community-led entity as originally intended by community. So that transition marks a significant milestone with us, sort of constituting ourselves as the African Nova Scotian Road Economic Prosperity Secretariat Society. So if anyone can say that 5 times fast, we have a little present for you. But we don't have to use the big long name all the time. REP is fine with us as we move forward, but that's technically what we are going to be. So this move reflects, the fact that we're maturing in the work and the initiative is ready to stand on its own. And we're going to continue to do our own work based on the guidance of the African Nova Scotian community. So currently our application for our non-for-profit status is with legal counsel, and we hope to receive that by the end of this month, which is wonderful. And that's going to help us operate independently and pursue funding and help to deepen our mandate as well. So about 6 months ago along this journey as well, we developed a sustainability advisory group. So this group is made up of council members and some community participants that don't necessarily belong to a council, but they wanted to be involved and continue to support the work. And they meet monthly and they offer guidance and ideas around funding and strategies and things like that. And their collective expertise strengthens our work and our capacity to navigate this transition and positions us for long-term sustainability. And so The timing of our transition aligns with the launch of our new 6 to 11-year plan. And notably, this plan introduces a fourth pillar, which I've already discussed. And that, I feel, really helps us reinforce the Secretariat's commitment to systemic transformation. And I'm really excited. I'm trying to rush ahead because I really want to get to the part where Carol Ann's going to explain how we got here. So it is a challenging time. Any transition any change is challenging, but we remain on track to achieve self-sufficiency by the end of fiscal 2026. And this goal is underpinned by strategic planning, the support of our Sustainability Advisory Group, which I already mentioned, and a clear commitment to community leadership. So nothing really has changed there. It's just more determination to move the work forward. So it's a testament actually to the resilience and the vision of the African Nova Scotian community, with strong foundations laid during this incubation period, and our clear strategic direction and community stewardship. REP is poised to enter into our new chapter, one marked by autonomy, sustainability, and a deepened impact on economic prosperity for generations to come. And I'm just going to hand it over to Carol Ann to talk about why we chose a secretariat to move us forward.
Okay, thank you, Tamar. So there was as we mentioned before, we're governed by a council, our Elder Council Advisory and our Youth Council, and we have quarterly planning sessions in which the council really talks about the work we do, how it needs to be done, what needs to happen. And when we had our last planning session, I think there's 2 planning sessions ago, folks began to zero in on what we needed to do to move forward. In that conversation, folks remembered the historic conversations and consultations where community had talked about several times a secretariat. And I think I thought Tracy's name online. I can't see it anymore, but if Tracy's on there, you know, your mom was part of several of those conversations and consultations. And particularly the 1995 document, which talks about a secretariat and is very specific of what a secretariat is supposed to do. And the community talked about wanting some independence in terms of knowing what the issues are, continuing to identify them over and over. We're not going to work, but having a secretary that was independent but understood all those aspects of the work. We underline our work with a couple of things. Those documents were really crucial in 1995, and there's one that goes back to the 80s, 83, that was led by Buff. The 1995 document was signed by, I think, Geraldine Browning and Clotilda Yukmachuk. Those were the chairs of that particular piece of work, and it just outlines the work as we've been doing it. As we've been moving forward. So it's really important. Those documents underline the rudimentary pieces of our historical narrative and the reason that we work the way they work. We need to understand that. So looking at those documents, the council was very clear that this is how we needed to form. That was the new formation, that was the new entity. And if we were going to go forward with any kinds of strength, it had to be a secretariat that allowed us flexibility with 3 levels of government, policy changes, and just to identify the kind of policies that we're still grappling with from municipalities in general. And that would also support the work in the provinces. And we know that we're talking to HRM-focused organization, but as we know that as people of African descent, that we are a network of people provincially, and that's how we've always seen ourselves. So having the secretariat is really important to understand. As Tamar has mentioned, we have a structure that we will send to you as we become incorporated, that talks about our bylaws, how we work, what the structure looks like, all those kind of details. And I have to say that the council did an excellent job of kind of sifting through that and making sure we have an entity that will stand the test of time in the work. We're also embedded in beyond Afrocentric principles, community economic development. Economic development is only a piece of the pie, and it's one of those things that CED allows us to look at all aspects of planning, whether it be land and infrastructure, employment, and those capacity building pieces allows us to do all that work with integrity. The other piece that we didn't mention is that we're also, there's also a lot of research that's being done on the way that this particular work is being done, and it's seen as groundbreaking, the rep work in and itself. So we're involved in two major pieces of research, both nationally and internationally, about how this work is done, Black, and particularly dealing with Black spaces. So, and that's outlined in our 2024 report. And I think we might have forwarded that to you already. So if you have an opportunity, you can look through that in more detail about the, those particular pieces of research. So I think that I've covered off that, and I think that's the last piece of the presentation.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of an ask. I think we mentioned it in the letter that we sent, but we realized that, the partnership with the ADC is crucial to our success and our mission and our work moving forward. Your endorsement would mean a lot to us. It'd be invaluable, in fact, and we'd like to ask if the ADC would write a support letter on behalf of REP as we move forward in this work. And the other thing that Chelsea was going to mention to you, just a couple little events that are coming up. She's just going to let you know about those.
Yeah, so we have our 5th annual summit coming up October 17th. That will be held at the Prince George. And we also have our Black family meeting, which will be held the day before. That will be virtual. And eventually, I'm hoping early next year, we'll be launching our Unity event as well, which is currently in progress with our Elder Council.
So thank you for listening. That's our brief presentation. So you get the gist of where we are and where we're going. And at this time, if there's any questions, we will be prepared to take them. Thank you.
Yes, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Jerry.
Sure. The Black family meeting that's virtual. Oh, sorry, my phone's ringing. That's virtual. Wouldn't that exclude quite a few people that aren't online? I'm asking Chelsea. I believe you were talking about that.
Yeah.
You said there was a Black family meeting, but it's going to be virtual. I
Yes.
think. Okay, wouldn't that, this is just off the top of my head. I did have a question that I thought about, and just think about it for a second. I have another one. What is a secretariat? And I don't want to sound like a doofus, but what is a
I was going to ask
Too late,
it too,
too late, I
Jerry.
know.
I was going to ask it too.
Okay.
Okay, what is a
So-
secretariat?
Yeah. So the difference between a secretariat and, just being a non-profit organization, it allows fluidity in terms of how the organization responds to private sector, government, and community. And a secretariat is, has more policy influence than, sorry, I'm losing my voice. Has more influence in terms of the day-to-day workings of community, in terms of being able to identify, react, and, and implement. And so a secretariat has to be flexible. It has to be almost, has some immediate responses to things. And it just allows for, as I said, I keep repeating myself, it allows more fluidity in terms of how an organization will respond to particular issues as the community has outlined. In the documents, the Secretariat, as I said, as explained in the 1995 document, talks about that, we take too long to react to things. The particular organization doesn't have the power or the influence to be able to react. And so a Secretariat will allow that.
Okay.
Be the voice of community on any issues that the community puts forward.
All right, thank you.
And yeah, thank you. And we are careful about that, and just in terms of, charitable status and things like that, but there's, putting advocacy in there, but it is constant support on those issues and making sure there's a voice for community on the issues that continually arise.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
As for the Black Family Meeting, it is virtual, so we could reach as many communities as possible. We are hosting it at the Prince George, so we wouldn't really have the capacity for too many people. But if there were anyone nearby that was unable to attend online, they are welcome to join us at the Prince George. But we're hoping to reach as many people as possible doing it virtually.
The other piece that we have tried is having people that are not online meet in places where there are computers, and that has worked in one of our previous Black family meetings. When we did it regionally, people met in Digby. They were in the same place at a community center or at someone's place, or there was all kinds of opportunities for that. So we'll try to accommodate to the best of our ability.
All right, good luck with that.
Thank you.
So my question is, well, policy reform, what does that look like to you guys and going forward? Like, how would that look? Like, what policies are you looking to reform or anything of that nature? Like, what does that mean?
So who's that to? Is it to all of us?
All of you,
Okay,
whoever wants to answer.
okay. Folks, I'm doing a lot of the talking. You can take this one if you want
Hey,
to.
Mark.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. We haven't launched the 6 to 11-year plan yet. That's going to be launched at Summit in a couple weeks. So I didn't want to say too much about that. But one of the things that we're looking at is about graveyards. And I think Caroline can fill you in a little bit better than I can on that piece.
So the policy piece, we've actually been able to have some success in that in our first 5 years, particularly around the land use policies.
Mhm.
So that's one of the reasons that we stay with policy reform or change. Land use has changed as it impacts African Nova Scotian communities. So we've been able to make some real changes in real time. As the council meets, what happens is we find out, because we're meeting as communities, a lot of the same issues people are experiencing. So they become policy issues. One of the things that came up recently was the grave sites and the need to know where our grave sites are in communities and be able to protect them. A lot of development is happening and grave sites are being dug up and communities are not aware, or people know people are buried there and can't do anything to kind of either stop it or to address it. So those kind of things are the policy issues that we want to make sure that we're able to address. Another thing that comes up for us is permitting, permits that are given out, and I think Upper Hammonds Plains had the most difficulty with that, and issuing so many permits and community not involved in the consultation around how the thorough permits are impacting the way communities are able to develop or not develop. So those are the kind of things we're looking at in terms of policy identification and being able to address. And you would say reform in the long run, but we need to identify and address them as well.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to talk a little bit about community benefit agreements, Caroline, as far as policy?
Yes.
As the policy part of the policy
I
piece.
think we addressed that last time. Sorry.
Before you go, I had my hand up. I thought someone was going to check my hand, but if you don't mind, Caroline, I have 3 questions. It's Councilor Young. Number one, so the secretariat, that's a permanent entity inside of government? What is it funded by the 3 levels of government? Question 1. Question 2, who will you have to answer to as a secretariat? And number 3, will the body of the secretariat be involved in any future community-wide estate planning awareness programs?
Estate planning, did you say?
Yeah.
Estate planning awareness program. Thanks.
What was your first question again? Sorry, I didn't get the first one.
The first one was, I'm just trying to get clarity on the secretary position. Is it a permanent entity inside of government funded by 3 levels of government?
Okay.
And who would you have to answer to if that was the case?
Okay, so the way that we have structured this is a standalone entity that is accountable to community. Because we have a council of 30, that's who the secretariat is accountable to. But we would also be accountable to folks, to levels of government that we're receiving support from as well. So, you know, the accountability is still really strong in that way. And as we said, we still hold summits the way we hold them and be accountable for the work that we said we're going to do. We have a 6 to 11-year plan. So we'd be accountable for making sure that work is done by the folks that's supporting it and also by community who will be supporting the work as well.
And to answer your third question there, Counselor, with regards to the estate planning awareness sessions, we do have a couple of sessions that we're going to have throughout this year for community speakers, as well as we're doing a pilot project for first-time home buyers as well. But there's a lot coming in the next several months around all of those things that you mentioned. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Tama. Thanks, Caroline.
Yeah. And the second, did we miss the second question or did we answer it?
It was who did we answer to? And you
Oh,
you
okay.
mentioned that
All
we
right.
answered to community, yes.
Okay, I think you were talking about CBAs, but I think I answered that as well. I'm not sure.
I'm good. You guys can continue.
Oh, are you done? Can I jump in or are you? Okay.
Yes, by all means.
Yes, with the same kind of thing as Councilor Young is asking. What powers will this give the Secretariat in terms of everyday Black people who you're on behalf of? Are the people, besides those 30 people that you consult with, will you be doing any kind of consultations with the community to make sure that there's accountability by those of us who don't attend the meetings or not? Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Yes, I can say that. When you look at the documents, and Jerry, you might be familiar with the 95 document, I'm not sure, that is rooted in, you know, when the council set a secretariat and we went back and looked at the documents, it's always this piece around accountability to community. And it's embedded in every document, even I think there's a 2001 document as well. That's a consultation with community after the work groups were devolved. And it talks about this accountability piece, which is built into the Secretariat, where we have the summit, a yearly event where community comes to, you know, and says, you know, have you done what you said you're going to do? That accountability piece. Our councils are, you know, we constantly look for new members on council as well, similar to your organization here. So that accountability will come through its membership. It will come through people volunteering on ad hoc committees. It will come through all of that. So making it as transparent as possible are those pieces that we need to get right. And we learn from our experiences with organizations that have historically not done that we need to do better. And so this is actually, you know, based on all that work and, you know, how do we get this right? And how do we make sure that we're accountable to community as constantly reaching out as we do on a regular basis. We meet with communities on a regular basis. As you know, we're, you know, out in East Preston quite a bit to make sure, the same way with Lucasville, when things go, when communities call us, we show up. So that's a piece of the accountability, and to make sure that we do as staff do what we're supposed to do, that council is responsible for that.
Okay, thank you. Now, just one more little thing here. In Pillar 2, it says establishing land ownership. I didn't hear anything about, we'll call it, if not white supremacy, white racism in terms of how that impacts, let's say, since we've been here and up to today. I didn't hear any of that. How is that reflected in your work?
In terms of the second pillar? You said in terms of sorry, repeat your question.
sorry, I'm mute. Okay, when discussing land ownership, it
Yes.
says pillar 2, establishing land ownership.
Mhm.
One of the things I found is I'm looking at land ownership, it had to do with the different treatment for Black people in terms of owning land. And it
Yes.
had to do with the color of the skin.
Mhm.
So I'm saying I didn't hear any kind of discussion about racism or white supremacy or anything like that in your focus. Now, what I mean is, how do you deal with that?
So what we have done over the 5 years is look at the kind of things in community, land loss, trying to look at instituting or folks reclaiming boundaries that have lost and not been compensated for in communities, that type of thing. And we've been able to do that with Beachville as the example and the first out the gate in terms of being able to do some recovery. What we call that is practical reparations. That's a term that we use because we know that reparations as in and of itself tends to be very politically charged. But it's practical to recover land that you have lost through racist policies and inaction. So that's how we have dealt with that. We don't, we might not have used the language that you use, but that's the kind of process that we use in terms of reestablishing land and space.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So just some of the things that Jerry's talking about, but land acknowledgement.
Mhm.
So how come we haven't, put anything forth to ask for land acknowledgement like the indigenous communities have? I mean, they have the land acknowledgement for the indigenous community, and then they say, and we also recognize that Black Nova Scotia has been here for 400 years.
Yes.
That's it,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Mhm.
So why can't we get land acknowledged as status? That would be my question. Is that something that you guys are looking towards?
I think that's a broader discussion for the Black Family Meeting, and
Okay.
it requires consultation because everybody's not on the same page on that.
Okay.
And we wouldn't take it on unless it was unless it came out from you and other folks that said, here's what we need to go with this, and here's why we need to do it. It takes research and also a commitment from community. What are we standing on? Our stewardship. We know that we were, put on lands that were inhabited by Indigenous folks. So what does that mean to us?
Mhm.
What is the position that we're taking and how is it reflecting in terms of how we are doing our work? So that would take a conversation that we need to agree on. So so our work is a lot about facilitation and holding space for certain conversations as well.
Mhm.
We don't put that in our, as part of our main thing, but that's part of the work that we do as well. And anything that's important to community where we can have a unified approach and position, we do that
Right.
as well. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I just had a question about the request for a letter of support and endorsement. Please could you send in just some bullet points, a bit of a blurb that way, and then I'm happy to craft something really impactful and hopefully lend our voice to the cause. So I think unless there's any objections from the rest of the committee, I'm hearing general support for the work so far. I'll put it out to members of the committee. Are there any questions or concerns about the letter of endorsement before I give my thumbs up over here? Dorothy, do we need to put that to a vote?
I just wanted to confirm, sorry, I just wanted to confirm that the letter will be coming from, would you want it to come from ADAC or would you want it to come from Regional Council? Because if you wanted it to come directly from Regional Council, ADAC would recommend to Executive Standing Committee, which would recommend to Halifax Regional Council to write the letter of support.
I'll let Caroline answer that. Personally, I think the African Descent Advisory Committee, because of the work we do, carries a lot of weight. If we had support from the African Descent Advisory Committee itself, I think that's very important. But if they'd like to recommend the latter, that is fine as well.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Oops.
Yes, go ahead.
I agree with Tamara on doing it that way. And then maybe along the line, then it can be sent through the executive standing committee, then to regional council. But I think the body of the ADAC should be there first.
Okay, understood. Thank you, folks. So with that information, more than happy to craft something, and I'll have my members look at it and provide their input, and we'll have it to you soon.
Great.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your support.
Thank you for your support and your time, and reach out to us if you have any more questions about that we didn't have time to get in today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Okay, folks. So I think we can move on to the next agenda item here, unless there are any lingering questions or thoughts. I'll move on to item number 8. So in terms of information items brought forward, there are none. For our reports, item 9.1.1, the ANSIO monthly update. Do ANSIO staff have any updates for the committee?
Yes.
Not this month. Oh, do you? Russell?
No.
No. Okay, that's what I thought.
Thank you to our ANSIO staff. Item 9.1.2, the overview of HRM's anti-Black racism training. I'd like to invite Russell to provide the committee with a presentation on the anti-Black racism training.
So I'm happy to provide an overview and outline of the training. I didn't put together a presentation for this, but I'm happy to kind of give an outline, overview, and then obviously if there's any questions from members of the committee, we're happy to take those questions and answer them at this time. And then also I do have Devin Paris online as well. He's the lead for ANSCAP, but he's also a co-facilitator of the training. So if there's anything that I missed, Devin, please feel free to jump in, or if there's any questions that you want to take, please feel free to join in as well. Does that work for you, Maps?
Yes, Russell, thank you for that. Just an overview of the content. I think would be curious to know what's covered. Perhaps some of the responses so far you've had to particular topics, where you've had challenges, that kind of thing. And we just love to know how it's been going so far. And I think the questions themselves will probably give you some more food for thought.
Absolutely. So thank you first and foremost. So, we've been offering the training for just under 2 years now. So we started to offer this training in March of 2024. So just to kind of take you through the training in terms of what the content is and the topics that are covered. So the training starts off with an introduction to the history of anti-Black racism, specifically with Halifax context. A lot of times when we have the conversations around anti-Black racism, it's very easy for folks to look to other parts of the world, but we really want to contextualize that with local context, so it's more relatable and it's easier to kind of understand the impacts of it. So as we move through the history section, we start off with slavery and the impact of slavery in Halifax and in Nova Scotia. We move through segregation. We talk about the history of the broken promises through different waves of migrations of folks that came to Nova Scotia and Halifax and surrounding areas. We talk about environmental, geographical, and infrastructure racism and the impacts that has had and is still having in the historic African Nova Scotian communities. We talk about urban renewal and, the history of Africville. And we also talk about the over-policing, racial profiling, and specifically street checks and the impact that that has had on the historical African Nova Scotian communities. So that's kind of a brief summary of kind of the topics that we cover throughout the history. We also talk about the varying levels of racism and kind of where that and how that shows up. So we look at individual and interpersonal racism. We also talk about systemic and institutional racism, as well as cultural racism, and kind of how that shows up so that folks have a better understanding of how to address it on those varying levels. We talk about how race shapes our experiences. So really looking at how racialized folks, move through the world with a lot of different complexities. So we explore that. We talk about white privilege, white supremacy, white fragility, microaggressions. And, within each session, we try to encourage folks across the organization to take these sessions with their colleagues. So they're in the space with folks that they're more familiar and comfortable with, but also that there's an understanding of the work that's being done with the group as a whole, so that we can try to tie the learnings back to the work that they're doing in their respective business units. So, for example, if there's folks there from legal, we would talk about like things, how policy affects, some communities, and, it works in favor of other communities. If it's HR, we talk about how different hiring practices sometimes can be exclusive to some, and, how it's important to look at how we change those processes and the mechanisms that are kind of linked to those processes. So we really try to customize the training and the conversation to the work of the folks that are in the room, so to the audience. So that's kind of a brief outline and overview of the training. At this time, I'll pause and I'll just invite Devin to chime in if he has anything to add that I may have missed.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I can add on here. So, hi, my name is Devin Paris. I'm the lead for the African Nova Scotian Community Action Program, and also co-facilitate with Russell for the ABR training. So, in our first year, we had a goal of about 200 staff to train during these sessions. We actually surpassed that and got to about 500 staff in our first year, and then we're on a good pace this year with I think already about 5 or 6 trainings under our belt here. So, it's a training that's been really highly received by HRM staff during the sessions that we've had so far, and we've been able to reach a lot of the staff members that we have in the Halifax Regional Municipality. So it's been a really great start, and we're hoping to continue on this over the next couple of years here.
And if I can just jump back in here, Chair. So you mentioned just sharing some of the feedback, or any type of challenges that we've kind of ran into as we've kind of rolled out this training. And honestly, the training, the feedback has been very, very positive. We've gotten a lot of support, and the oversight from executive leadership, where they're encouraging folks from their business units to engage and participate in the training. So that's been very encouraging. And with each training that's offered, we follow up with the participants, and we invite them to provide any feedback related to the training. And it's been unanimously positive feedback and responses to the training. So many folks have said like it's the best training they've ever taken, specifically any training that they've taken while being an employee with Halifax Regional Municipality. So it's been very, very positive. Currently, the training is not something that is mandatory, and most of the feedback, when the folks are providing feedback, they say that this training absolutely should be mandatory, as it has helped them to truly understand the weight of anti-Black racism, and again, tying it to that historical context that is often not understood by a lot of folks who haven't lived it.
Thank you, Russell. Thank you, Devin. Folks, do you have any questions for Russell and Devin?
Yes.
Oh,
sorry.
Jerry.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Dorothy. Is it Dorothy? Go ahead.
Councilor Hinch?
So you said it's not mandatory, but so since me and John, we've been counselors for the past 10 months. Is it, and we may have asked this question before, but Russell, please answer it again. Has the counselors taken the course? Or is it something that we're looking to take because of certain situations that went on recently?
So council has not taken the anti-Black racism training. It has came up in conversation, and we're trying to figure out kind of the logistics of kind of making that happen, you know, with the way that council operates and kind of functions. You know, meetings that council are participating in are public, and we're trying to figure out like what that looks like in terms of trying to, you know, figure out, like I said, the logistical pieces for the training so that regional council can participate in the training.
All right, thank you.
Russell, long as it's not a quorum, long as we don't make a quorum, you can split up the counselors for any kind of training that you want.
Yeah, break it down to 2 sessions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tracy.
Hi, counselors. Thank you for the question. Right now, we've been working with our new ED, Ian, and having some of these discussions on the training. The problem is that a group of 7 wouldn't work for this type of training. It really requires, most of our training, we require at least 15 people, just because of the way that it's designed. So we are working with Ian right now to look at the suite of training that is offered by the D&I office and how we get that to council. So the session that I did for you when you first became counselors, that was just an overview. I would much rather have been able to do a training and a proper piece of work with the counselors. But Ian is looking at that, and we will be following up. This question has been raised multiple times, not just by the 2 of you, but by other counselors as to wanting to participate in the training that is offered through our office. So that is something that we are currently working on.
Thank you.
Tracy, before you go, so is the training mandatory? That's my question. Because I
No.
reached out, because I also reached out to the committee, the police committee, and I asked them the same thing.
Right.
It should be.
So when Jacques Dubé was our CAO, he was able to elevate the corporate diversity and inclusion training that is mandatory for every employee, every new employee, employees that have been in the organization for a while. Right now, what they've done is training and development did a whole review of all training for all staff. So lists were given out and people know what training people have not taken. But it is mandatory for all new employees. And then they're kind of going back in time and catching employees who haven't taken it. So we are doing that. So that's for the diversity and inclusion training. Any of the other training that we offer in the organization is not currently mandatory. The anti-Black racism training is very specific. The way that the team has handled this is that they're working through a business unit. That way they're working with the same group at a time. So for example, yesterday, I believe it was, the team just did the training with legal services. So we're doing this particular piece of training by invitation so that we can capture as many staff within a business unit at a time. And the team sort of does focus things, which is why last year they hit over 500 employees because they focused on some specific business units that we knew really needed the training. I believe to make training mandatory, that comes through the direction of the executive director of HR and the CAO. So as much as I would love that, the piece that I would say here that's really important is capacity. Recognize my team is really tiny. And for us to be able to provide all of our training which is excellent training. People will say, well, if you can't do it, then we'll go out and pay for it. That's fine. But my team has developed this. We know the organization. I'm really proud of the work that they do. And I really would like them to continue to be able to do that. But our capacity is really stretched to the limit for all of the modules, because we do D&I training, blanket exercise, which is the Indigenous training, accessibility training, gender-based training, reaching out from an Afrocentric space training, and anti-Black racism training. All of those training programs require at least 2 staff members for each session. Each session is a full day. So if I had more capacity, we would be able to offer things more frequently. But right now, all of those trainings we're only able to offer once a month.
One more question.
Yeah.
With the AD's report, is there any follow-up been done since? I brought that up in council, and I haven't heard
The
anything yet.
audit report?
Yes.
Yes. We did an update. We did an update, the first update to you all, and then we're not required to come back again until March. So on September 29th, I'll be rolling out an update to the Executives Leadership Committee. And we would like to bring another update to council, but there isn't a whole lot to say except we've developed the tools. We're meeting all of the objectives of the audit. Again, capacity. I have a really tiny team that does powerful work in this organization. And not only do they do the work, but I also have to take care of the team. Russell and I were at a conference today, and one of the things I said to the public service people is, we don't get to go home and unzip and suddenly we're not Black. So I really need to also take into consideration taking care of my team. When I only have 1 ABR lead, right now only 1 ANSIO lead, 1 ANSCAP lead, I really need to make sure that I'm not draining them because we have 5,000 other people in the organization.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, could I jump in on a question? If that's all right, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's about the curriculum. And before I ask my question, I would want to mention to the 2 counselors that it might be your job to let the other counselors know when they're inappropriately speaking about us. I know that's rough, but that might be your job. Anyway, the curriculum question is first of all, the priority. I've mentioned this before. Wouldn't it be better for our people if they were taught how to cope with being in an anti-Black environment when you're employed, as opposed to spending all of the time teaching about our history to other people who have been hostile to us? So if you're teaching people in authority about learning experiences about us, wouldn't that give them more tools about how to push our buttons? So I guess what I'm saying is, could you maybe review the curriculum and say, okay, the people coming in here, working in government, what is it like for them working when they're the only Black person on staff, or everybody's making comments, let's say there's only 2 councils Black, and why not look at what they're coping with? And so the thing is that I find that also when we're talking about our history, if we're going to be talking about our history, one of the things that they've done is they tried to take our love for Africa away from us. They took our African out of us, so to speak. So why don't we talk about the Africans who are not ashamed to call themselves African? For instance, if a Chinese person is living here in Nova Scotia, they say we call them Chinese. But if an African person like us, we say African Nova Scotian. How come? So why don't we talk about the people, the wonderful people who've come here, who are from our family in the motherland, and it's a lot of them. So why can't we, just embrace them and just go ahead, and it's almost like turning your curriculum around. I know it's easy for me to say that here. I'm just sitting here, but what I mean is, it seems like it's focusing, trying to change people on how they treat us. Why don't we get some coping skills for the people who have to cope with this racist working environment? Does that it's a question but a comment at the same time, I guess. So the question is there any consideration for making the curriculum focus on the people who are facing racism?
Go ahead, Devin.
Yeah, I can chime in there. So thank you for your question there, Jerry. So there's two things with the training that I kind of wanted to highlight. So a section of our training does really talk about how, you know, the how white supremacy, how things like microaggressions, and how all these things do affect African Nova Scotians within the workplace and then also in communities. So there are parts of the training where we do talk about those difficult topics that are more related to whiteness and less so about the part about African Nova Scotian history. So the morning section will be focused on the history and kind of understanding, you know, where our people come from and the experiences that we've experienced in Nova Scotia. And then the second half of the session will be focused more on, you know, topics like white supremacy, topics like, you know, systemic racism, things like that, that are more where the onus is more on, you know, our white employees and our white staff to kind of combat some of those things that a lot of African Nova Scotian employees and citizens have to deal with day to day. The second part of that too is that the AB anti-Black racism training. So we have module 1 right now. So the first module talks about these two different topics. And then what we're looking to do moving forward is creating a second module that can dive deeper into things like what you're talking about here, about like maybe the experiences of Black employees that we might touch on in the first training session, but we might not be able to get as deep into the discussion since it's only a 7-hour training. So I think your feedback is heard by us here. And then, you know, as we're developing other modules moving forward, you know, taking that into consideration is an important step for us there.
Okay, thank you.
And if I could just add something there as well, just building off what Devin shared there as well. So to Jerry's, you know, question and point, you know, we also are, you know, developing other initiatives and, you know, ways to support and respond to the needs of all employees and, you know, in particular, Black employees in the workplace. So we do offer, you know, other, you know, learning opportunities and development opportunities. We have anti-Black racism conferences that have a variety of themes and different things to focus on that are supportive of, you know, Black employees in the organization, and then also, you know, provide, you know, useful, you know, strategies and things like that for the employees as well as other folks in the organization. So it's an ongoing initiative and commitment. So we're looking at, you know, other ways to provide those supports, looking at other types of resources that we may be able to offer to employees as we continue to, you know, address anti-Black racism and try to be more inclusive as an organization.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Russell. And I think I would echo Jerry's sentiments there about the importance of having a holistic approach, perhaps to the subject of anti-Black racism, considering the folks who experience it perhaps maybe don't have access to culturally responsive supports. And I know that's an ongoing conversation in all corporate spaces and institutions, that the mental health supports aren't always culturally responsive or appropriate. So I appreciate that you do have other programming such as the summit, and with that you're able to introduce probably wellness and other celebratory aspects that can be uplifting, supportive, and you know, reinforcing of the resilience of our folks within these spaces. I would encourage more resources, you know, takeaways for folks to be able to cope and to navigate these institutions. As we are all too well aware, they're still very much deeply rooted in white supremacy and racism. So something to explore, more resources for folks to help them navigate. I don't know how possible it is, or if it's something you're already doing, but I've seen in the past your ability to carve out, you know, spaces for people of African descent. That's a fantastic approach to maybe having these conversations. But definitely, I think the more restorative healing approach to the programming will definitely complement what you're providing in the way of education, so we can help folks, pour back into themselves as they move through the work and as you folks are fighting to dismantle the systemic discrimination. Go ahead, Russell.
Yeah, so thank you. Just really quickly, just wanted to share as well. Like, so to your point, I don't think you can ever have enough resources, but the ANZIO team has worked collaboratively with our human resources department, and they have Afrocentric EFAP. So, employees can utilize Afrocentric supports and resources through the EFAP program. So that's the employee. It's part of the benefits package, and we wanted to make sure that they had those culturally relative and responsive supports. So we have worked with human resources so that we have service providers that bring that lens to that work to provide that type of support. So that is something that is already in place. But like I said, you can never have enough resources. So we're always looking at, ways that we can, enhance and kind of amplify that. But it is something that we already have in place as of right now.
Wonderful. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you, Russell. Any more questions, folks? Let's give Russell and Devin more work, please. Any more questions? If none, a huge thank you to you folks for the work you're doing in this area and many others. Of course, I think it's an important component. The education and awareness is key. As we know, it's only one piece of the much larger efforts that you are continuing to advance. So we thank you for that, and we look forward to further updates. If there's nothing more, I can move on to the next item on our agenda, which is committee member updates. So this is the opportunity for our members to provide any community updates. What's going on in your communities? What should we be aware of? What can we support?
Yes, if I could, I have a concern from the HRM Council, the Councilor Trish Purdy for the Prestons. In her newsletter, she has stated that the province's land for housing program identifies vacant provincially owned properties that could be developed for housing. And the way they're doing it is they're offering that to nonprofit organizations. They're going to give them money. The problem I have with it is that they call it surplus land. And I wanted to know if anybody, I know we don't have any lawyers on the committee, maybe we do. What is surplus land? Because in my opinion, surplus land is the land, the way they look at our land that doesn't have houses on it, on the land that has trees on it, if you don't mind my description. So my concern with the council, the HRM Council, is that what they're doing is they're allowing the government to come in and build on what they call surplus land, which is owned by individual Black families. So I want to put that in as a concern. I don't know what we can do right here, but what I mean is I noticed that in her newsletter that she's going along and saying, okay, we're going to do that. And so a nonprofit organization, doesn't even have to be Black, can come in and go into our community, take land, get government money, and build houses. Does anybody know the council? Maybe this is for one of the councilors. Are you aware of this, or what's your comment on this? Do you have any kind of idea what's going on there?
I'm looking to bring it up now, Jerry. Hold on.
In the meantime,
So-
Councillor Young, did you have something?
So,
No.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
No, that's something I'll look into for Jerry, about the surplus land inquiry for the nonprofits. But Councilor Hinch might have more.
Okay, go
Halifax
ahead, Councillor.
Regional Municipality launches surplus land for affordable housing pilot program. So it's 48 Pinecrest Drive in Dartmouth, 15 Laurel Crest Drive in Eastern Passage, 18 Scott Drive in Bedford, 6850 Bears Road in Halifax. So those are the lands that they're talking about. As
Yes,
part of the pilot project, the municipality will be considering applications that meet current residential land use rules for each property, height, setback, type of things and whatnot. So I have passed this on to a lot of my not-for-profit organizations in my community that are Black-owned, Black-run, to see if they would be interested in getting any parts of these lands.
oh, it's an opportunity then for our community to maybe
Yes,
do some
yes,
housing?
it is. Yes,
Okay,
it is.
I get it. All right. Okay.
Councillor Hinch, sorry, I couldn't keep up with the locations of the properties. Are there any there that are in Black communities?
No.
No. Okay. Nevertheless, still an opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just more concerned that if there were any in Black communities, it would be something to flag and give the necessary sensitivity and yeah. Okay.
So you guys also brought up, and it was probably with Carol Ann and those guys with regards to having rights to whatever, or getting the information prior to even thinking about building on in Black communities. I don't know if there's anything that we can draft around that, or if there's anything that's currently in the bylaws to speak about, you need to get permission from those for those communities, such as Beachville, Hammonds Plains, Preston areas. Jerry, I think Jerry brought it up.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the role of the ANSCAP, and maybe Devin can.
Go ahead, Devin, if you can respond to that, please.
Yeah, I can chime on to two things. So for the surplus property program, for starters, as a part of the review of, because with the surplus property program, that's for properties that HRM owns that they don't operate on anymore, so they're looking to tender it out for surplus use. So as a part of that review process, we have members of planning and development that will forward those applications or forward those potential surplus lands over to us before they go to council to be declared surplus. And when we see them in African Nova Scotian communities, especially the communities that we're working in right now in Beachville, Lucasville, Upper Hammonds Plains, and then soon the Preston Township, we will flag those and ensure that those aren't going up for surplus at this time and just making sure there's sensitivities around that. So there is a measure for us to make sure that we are not putting surplus properties in Black communities up unless we kind of have a sense that community is looking to do some sort of project on that, or we'll make sure that we have those kind of measures in place when it comes for surplus properties. For the second part there, for bylaws related to development and different African Nova Scotian communities, our ANSCAP team, our African Nova Scotian Community Action Program, we work with the different Black communities right now on the Halifax side, so Beachville, Lucasville, and Upper Hammonds, around changing land use bylaws to align with the community's vision for future growth. So a lot of our bylaws are outdated and have been outdated for decades right now in our African Nova Scotian communities. So part of our work is to make sure that we look at the existing bylaws right now. We work with communities and community organizations and community members to kind of decipher, what is the most appropriate bylaw for the future growth of the community. If the community wants to see growth, if the community doesn't want to see growth, kind of what's that future vision for the community. And then we go through a process of public consultation and a drafting process to basically review the bylaw and then submit a new set of bylaws for each community. So I hope that kind of answers both of those questions there.
It answers mine. Thank you, Devin.
Okay, I had a concern because you see, when you're doing research on, well, let's say go back to 1700 when they say we first got here. The land is called owner unknown. The way the government blocked the land from our people, it said owner unknown. And then after we put the land tax clarification process in, the provincial government looked at it as surplus land. And so the fact that Councillor Trish is dealing with the provincial government and saying we're going to use surplus land, I was concerned because it sounds like they're using black land, even though the land discussed here is not necessarily within our community boundaries. But the thing is that the word surplus I had a problem with because that was a kind of a code word that the provincial government, by the way, in her newsletter, she said it's provincial government project. It's their own. They're doing it themselves. And the HRM is just a partner. And that's what I got. I didn't talk with her, but that's what I got from the newsletter. So I guess the point is that my bias, so to speak, is that when I see government saying they're going to deal with surplus land, I feel that is black people's land because they used to call it that. And so I want to know what surplus land is. And that's a question for a lawyer because someone has to go and find out because the thing is, we might have a whole lot of development going on in our community of people building row housing or something in our boundaries, and we have no say on it. And our counselor doesn't seem to be talking to us. And so I'm going to be contacting her to find out things, but I would like to know if anybody knows what surplus land means from the provincial government point of view, and because I could be confused on it. So I'll do a little research on it, but surplus land sounds like African Nova Scotian land from the province's point of view. And they have an agreement with the HRM Council to give nonprofit organizations land to develop. And it means they're developing in our community because if you look at the rest of the province, look at the rest of HRM, the only surplus land is in the black communities, I think, unless I'm, I could be wrong, but you correct me. But when you look at all the communities and look at all the land that doesn't have any development on it, that's in our communities. So when they're saying surplus, that means us, in my opinion. So with Ms. Purdy going, can I ask that counselor this? Is Ms. Purdy doing this as the council or is she just doing it as by herself? Like, has she discussed this with the council?
Hi, it's Virginia again. So we all got the same information and we have I chose to share it to certain groups that have expressed interest of buying land for affordable, for affordable housing and things of that nature. So I'm pretty sure that she put it in her newsletter just for information purposes to let you know that this program is going on. If you wish to, learn more about it, you can go here. And from what I can find out and what I can see, Jerry, it is us, the municipality that is putting this on, or it's the municipality surplus land, not the provincial government.
So there is surplus land in the municipality?
I see Tracy Jones. I see Tracy there. I saw her hand up.
Go ahead, Tracy.
Yes, I was just going to say exactly what you said, Counselor. So, Jerry, the lands that are being talked about in Counselor Purdy's and in Counselor Hinch's information that they're sharing are lands that the municipality had owned that they don't feel they have a use for anymore. And the municipality does own quite a bit of land throughout. And some of it they use and some of it they're not. And those that they're not using, they're trying to download. I don't know what the provincial process is or even what they might do about surplus lands. So when you say the bulk of surplus lands might be in your communities, Halifax is funny because there are places where some of the land is owned by the municipality, some of it is owned by the province, and some of it is even federal. So, if I were to take the communities of the Preston Township, in that Preston Township alone, you would have lands owned by 3 levels of government. And the work that Devon's team is doing is to make sure any municipal owned lands in African descent communities, before we even consider putting those up for surplus or out to community, that they work with our African Nova Scotian Community Action Planning team to make sure there's a connection with community before any of those types of decisions are made. So the lands that were listed are, for example, the Bears Road land. That's that land at the intersection of Bears Road and Connaught, right? That big piece of land that used to have a building on it, and they kind of changed the way the buses go, and it's just green land.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the spots that has come up for surplus. That was owned by the city, and now it's considered surplus. So, Jerry, I hope that that helps. But one of the things that you might want to do is, I would still encourage you to speak to the counselor, just so that you're clear that I'm telling you the right thing, because I haven't seen their newsletter. But the other thing is that you can always reach out, sorry, Devon, but to ANSCAP if you have concerns that land in a specific African Nova Scotian community is being sold out by the city. We can't do anything about private sales, but we can certainly look into anything that might be a municipal sale.
Okay, thank
Does
you.
that help?
helps. Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And like I encourage folks to, if we can buy up land, if we want to do affordable housing pilot programs and things of that nature, I will do anything possible to help them along with that journey. But yeah, we just, so yeah, Jerry, we're trying to do our best.
Hang in there.
Councillor Hinch, I just would like to, I think, just provide a word of support there. I think that's a great initiative, even though it's happening informally right now. I think it's great that we use a platform like this, even if it's just sharing amongst our members, to then share back to the communities that, listen, these opportunities are coming up. If you'd like to explore, maybe an avenue for us to make space for that every time we have a community update, I'd welcome it as well. It's important that we keep having these discussions and stay aware of what's there in the way of opportunities. So thank you for raising it, and thank you, Jerry, for the question. Are there any more community updates?
So I wouldn't say it's more of a community update. It's something that I want to bring to a future meeting, or is that another part that we got to go through? If we want to bring anything forward for future meetings or whatever.
We can discuss that now and make sure it's captured by Dorothy and myself.
Okay. So I mean, it's still in the early stages, but I have a feeling it's going to ramp up pretty soon. But and Tracy knows about this program. Oh Lord, give me a sec. Gotta find the paper now. So it's a fellowship program, by the way. So it's a fellowship program through the Canadian. Tracy, can you help me out with the full name?
Canadian Center for Race Relations.
Thank you. So I met with a couple of people today, including Rodney Small, if you guys are not familiar with Rodney Small. They brought this program to me back in April. So it's a program where we have probably about 6 to 7 students or to be a part of a fellowship program in the municipality where they get to work within the municipality. I personally want it to be called the African or African Nova Scotian Fellowship Program. where we're truly focusing on our people and our young people to get them involved in municipal government and any type of government to that fact. But to the municipal government, it will be a 12-month program, a paid 12-month program. It's from ages 18 to 30. We think we're going to go as high as 30 with this. Yeah, so paid program, they get to come into work in the different parts of the municipality, whether it's with the counselors or whether it's with planning and processing and policies and making and things of that nature, or work with the mayor. So this is getting them to get out there and to be a part of the decision making and know what that feels like, and to perhaps maybe even think about making it a career. So I plan on bringing that to you guys in full detail, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a synopsis on that.
Thank you for that, Councillor. It's definitely something that ties into one of our pillars, and I think we look forward to the future conversation around that. If you would like to chat further around what that would look like, whether it's a presentation or just making space for general discussion, we're more than happy to do that. That sounds like a wonderful opportunity for our youth.
I see Jay Reese's hand is up.
Go ahead, Jay Reese.
I just wanted to mention, I was talking to somebody at DBDLI, and they are actually
Yes.
doing the Black mental health storytelling. So
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be ages 16 to 30, and it's like for Black youth, African Nova Scotian youth, and it's like a partnership with DBDLI and Jack.org. So it's about like filming and things like that. There's going to be different roles, and I know that the youth can apply if they would like to be a part of that. Just wanted to put that out there as well.
Thank you. Also, Delmore Buddy Day is a part of this program as well. So
Okay.
they've taken that initiative on as well.
Thank you, Jay Reese. Thank you, Councillor. If you have more information, please send that along to Dorothy so it can be circulated.
I
to our
definitely
members.
will.
Wonderful. Any more updates, folks? This is the kind of stuff we'd want to be hearing. Thank you for those who've shared so far. It's exactly what we're looking for. If there are no more updates, thank you to everyone who has shared. I can move on to item number 10. Added items. There are no added items. Our next meeting is on October 9th, 2025. And at this point, I'll move to adjourn the meeting. Can I get a mover to adjourn the meeting, please?
I can move it.
Thank you, Councillor. All right, folks, the meeting is adjourned. Have a lovely evening.
Take
All
care,
right. Good
all.
night, everybody. Night.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you. Good
much.
night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.